Hi, I'm Jess. Welcome back to my channel. This is my first book talk and it is for Daughter of Deep Silence by Carrie Ryan. I do not own this book. I listened to it on audiobook and it was amazing. So I'm just going to really quickly insert a picture in between me talking so that you know what it looks like. Sorry, we are really not running a high-tech show here. So, a brief synopsis of this book. We follow Frances, a young girl who has been out on a life raft for a week with her friend Libby. Their cruise ship went down after masked men attacked it, only when Frances eventually gets rescued, minus Libby, who has unfortunately died, she finds out the rest of the world is under the impression the boat sank due to some kind of freak accident. And then 4 years later she comes home to try get revenge on the people that did this and reveal the truth. This is made harder by the fact that only other two survivors who are lying about the attack are a senator and his son who she used to date. It's a really fast-paced, quick adventure. It's a revenge story and it feels like a movie when you're reading it, and I could see all the scenes in my head and how I would do them, and it's really interesting and you should definitely read it. Now onto the spoilery section, so if you haven't read it, go away, come back, watch this, and talk to me about it. So, spoilers. At first, when you meet her, when she's on the boat and she's like been with Gray and you find out all about them, I was like, I was so confused because she's like loved this guy for a week. The way that it's written, you'd think that she'd known him forever. And I know that you're meant to like meet people and feel that when you fall in love with them, but she was 14, so it felt like it was just first love and that she was just like making it really dramatic. This is why I couldn't invest in the relationship personally later on in the book, because I kept thinking that she would just grow up and move on and realise that she didn't love him, but that's not what happened, and it really annoyed me because I was like, you've known him for literally a week of your life. A week. And that's another thing I was really confused about. I don't know if I just like didn't read the synopsis properly, but when she first gets back and after she's been rescued and she goes and talks to Libby's dad and he's like, oh well, how old are you? And she's like 14, and I was like, what? Because obviously it then goes 4 years later, but at that point I don't think I knew that was what it was going to happen. So I was like, god damn it, my fancast, that's messed with it in my mind. But then they did 4 years later, so it's fine. It was 4 years later, and then she comes home and she meets Shepherd for the first time, and it was so annoying. It really annoyed me because I was like, if he loved Libby so much, how does he believe that she is Libby because she's taken over her life? And then she called him out on it in her thoughts, and she was like, oh well, he can't love her that much. And then she meets Gray and he doesn't recognise her, but then later on it's revealed that Shepherd does know, and the whole time I was so wanting him to know. And the same with Gray, I wanted him to look at her and see and know it was her, but he didn't. Shepherd did, and that's why I couldn't. I wanted her to be with Shepherd. I wanted them to both move on and heal together and get together at the end. But then she just went out with Gray, and it was so depressing because you want Shepherd to be happy in the end after all of this crap, and you want her to be happy, and they should have just been happy together. But I did love all of the thoughts that went into all the lie. Like, she's a consummate liar. She just lies all the time. And I love how manipulative she is. I love it. I love really dark, like, villainous characters who are like fully capable of really terrible things. I really like it, and I think it's really interesting. So I liked the constant lie that she kept up. I just loved seeing her lie to everyone. I love this book so much more than I thought that I would, and one of the reasons was the way that it's written. And so I really love the way that she describes the Frances part of her and the Libby part of her, and then this other person that she is, this weird hybrid of the two people that she has now had to become. And I really like whenever she's with Gray and she says, I can feel the Francis part of me, or I can hear Francis wanting to come out, because it's so kind of creepy and disconnected from who she actually is. And it kind of reminds you that she's basically become an entire different person, but she's made herself into a different person. She's been broken down and then built back up again in a completely different way. And the descriptions of that in this book are like spot on. I also really love how this book makes you think about what your life would be if that one thing never happened to you. So she has become a completely different person, and she isn't the person that she was supposed to be. She isn't the Frances she was supposed to be, and I just think that's really interesting, and I think we can all identify with that in a way, because when you think about certain things in your childhood, and I certainly wonder maybe if things had happened differently, would I be a different person than I am now? So I really liked that idea. One bit where I was like, oh my god, was when Shepherd confronts her about not being Libby, and for ages she refuses to just explain the plan or explain what happened. And I was like, just tell him. He'll probably help you, or he'll do something. Like, just tell him, because you're making it worse. You arguing about this is just making it worse, and I got really annoyed. Obviously, miscommunication is like a huge plot point in YA, and it just pisses me off, but they got over it. They got past that, so then it was okay. Now, on to the craziest bit of this whole fucking book. The bit when she poisons Gray's mum, and then she goes to go rescue her, and she stops for a minute and she's like, oh, shall I let her die? Can I let her die? Yeah, I can let her. And I was like, this girl is stone cold. She is cold as fuck. And I loved it. I genuinely was like, yes, girl. And I know this sounds really bad, but it would have been really interesting to see what happened if she had let her die, because I fully think that she probably could have just lived with it. Like, oh god, I could not believe it. It was almost hilarious because it was just crazy, but I did really love it, and it made me really love Frances. Frances? Libby? What do we even call her? Do we even know? It was so good reading this, but it was really conflicting as well, because the whole time that she was with Gray, I was like, please notice that it's her, please notice that it's her. But then also at the same time, I didn't want him to notice because I wanted her to win. So it was just like a crazy mess of emotions. So at the end, when she goes and like goes all Heathcliff and digs up the dead body, that was fucking weird. I didn't know what was going on until like right far into it. Until the other guy that's fighting her found out, I didn't really get what was happening. I kind of wish that she'd gone in her old house, or if she'd been able to, and like kind of found out what had happened to people she knew, or had managed to get a photo of her family or something. I keep saying stuff annoyed me in this book, but I did love it really. But you know, when you love something, you're annoyed with something because you loved it. So I liked how the end was open ended. I much preferred that because it was open ended in a way that it gives you a lot of hope for her character. Um, I didn't like that lady police officer. Normally I would love her, but I don't know, she just annoyed me. Because I know that she shouldn't have trusted Francis, but it annoyed me that she didn't trust Francis. But yeah, I still want her to get with Shepherd at the end, personally. But I kind of like that she did branch off on her own, and she might not even get with Gray in the end. I'm gonna headcanon that she didn't. And I know that Gray's dad got arrested at the end, but that's another thing where I was like, I kind of wanted the truth to come out. I know the truth couldn't necessarily come out because it would ruin her cover, because then she would have to say that she was Francis and all of this stuff. But well, I kind of was a little bit disappointed that no one really found out what happened to Libby and all of that stuff. So yeah, but overall, I really did love this. The audiobook is really good, so I recommend that. And I think I gave it like 4 stars, simply because I was so surprised with how much I liked it, and then promptly went to see if I could find any of Carrie Ryan's other books, and I realised she's the same woman that did The Forest of Hands and Teeth, which is like Amish zombies or something. I don't know. But yeah, I really liked her writing. I really want to read the rest. 4 out of 5 stars. Very much recommend. So, thank you for watching. If you've watched this, this was my first book talk, and it was probably a mess. But I will hopefully see you again soon.